You're watching MATTtV.
Hi, I'm Valerie. Welcome to MATTtV. Did you know that the offertory here at St. Matthew helps support over 100 different ministries? 10% of everything you give goes to charities and to help fund needs both nationally and internationally. On this episode of MATTtV, we send Nick to one of those charities, the Urban Ministry Center here in Charlotte.
Dale Mullinex is the Executive Director of the Urban Ministry Center. Mr. Mullinex, beyond the statistics, what can you tell me about Urban Ministry Center and its mission?
Well, we are here to bring the community together to end homelessness one life at a time. That's our mission statement. And so every service that we provide plays some role in some homeless person's path to escape homelessness. So for instance, the soup kitchen that you saw today is oftentimes the starting place for someone. They're on the street, the first thing they ask is, where do I get something to eat? And so when they come here, our job is to feed them a nutritious meal, but it's not to stop there. It's to establish a relationship with them, it's to build their trust, and then help them create their path out of homelessness.
And I know there's a distinction between homelessness temporarily and chronic homelessness. What should people know about the differences?
Well, two primary populations of homeless people. The largest, almost 85% of homeless people, are what we call situationally homeless. That is, some situation occurred that pushed them over the edge or put them on a slippery slope to homelessness. The most common, of course, is a lost job, but it might have been an illness. It could have been a divorce in the family, could have been a death in the family of a breadwinner. Some situation occurred that caused them to be here. If we do our job right, and other service providers in town are doing their job right, most situationally homeless people will escape homelessness in less than 60 days. Now the other portion of the population, 10 to 15%, are the chronically homeless. That means they've been homeless longer than a year continuously, or they've been homeless multiple times over the last 3 years, and they have some disabling condition. So it's generally that disabling condition that keeps them from being able to get out of their homelessness on their own. And so we have focused our housing efforts particularly on those because they do have a mental illness or some disabling condition that makes it virtually impossible for them to escape homelessness without our help.
So what can St. Matthew's do to help?
Well, it's absolutely essential that they keep doing what they've done, which is they've provided some financial support. There are people like the gentleman right now who volunteers. That's absolutely critical to us. We have learned that there are people in the community who, when they bring their passion, they may have the next best idea that we haven't thought of. You know, there are people who have a skill or a desire of a certain way that they want to serve that just hasn't occurred to us yet. And so we don't claim we know every answer. And so the more people who come down and say, hey, have you thought of this idea? Or I have this I like to do, would it be helpful? The more chances we have of ending homelessness. Well, to end chronic homelessness in Charlotte means we want to house about 450 more people in the next 2 years. That's really an audacious goal. It's a big dream. And so we knew the only way we were going to do that was to bring more resources to the effort. And so it was through a series of conversations with people at Center City Partners, with the city, with the county, with the Housing Authority, with Bank of America, with Wells Fargo, with the Foundation for the Carolinas, that we were going to mobilize the greatest partnership I've ever been aware of to end homelessness. And so right now we have 26 organizational partners all buying into this effort, and we would love to see St. Matthew come on as one of our faith leaders in this effort because there's going to be a role for them to play.
We definitely, within the next 2 years, there is a possibility that we can end chronic homelessness in Charlotte, and that's because of groups like St. Matthew, the Levine Foundation, Urban Ministry, and other government officials who are getting involved as a way of improving the way we handle homelessness and the way that people are viewed who are homeless. It could be any one of us. That's what we all have to understand. I'm talking about myself. It only takes a loss of a job, a medical emergency, and the next thing, you know, people lose homes, they lose houses, they lose cars, and they're in a box, and it can happen to any one of us. That's what we all have to remember.
Your strengths? What about your teens? Here at St. Matthew, we don't forget about our teenagers. Here's a special look at a program designed to help teens discover their strengths.
We're really excited. We have about 40 teenagers from St. Matthew are here, and they're learning about their strengths. They're learning about what is it that the strengths that God has given them, and not only what are they, but how can they use them to their fullest. And if they walk away today with 1 or 2 nuggets of information to better understand who they are as a person, our job is done.
Why is that important?
We're all uniquely made by God, obviously. We all understand that we all have gifts, we all have talents, but I think it's so liberating for these teenagers to understand what they're naturally good at. What are the strengths that they use each and every day that come just so naturally to them? And how can they use them not only at school, but outside school, in the community, and right here at St. Matthew. They leave here with a better understanding of what are the God-given, the top 5 strengths that God's given them. They leave with a better understanding of who they are as a person. They leave with an understanding of what makes them unique, what makes them different from everybody else, and what they naturally do, or what they do so well that comes so naturally to them. It's a whole lot of fun. I hope when they leave here today, they not only understand who they are, but they've had a lot of fun, and they've met a whole bunch of other kids, and they've met them in a different way. They've met them with a strengths foundation.
How often do you do this?
We do this twice a year. We'll be doing them every 6 months or so. It's a quick 3 hours. It's a fast 3 hours. And the feedback has been great so far. We've had about 300 kids go through this program over the last 5 or 6 years. It's exciting.
So, Grayson, why did you come here today?
I came here because my friends told me about it, and I wanted to come and find out what my strengths were and how I could use them in my life.
Okay, is that what you were hoping to get out of the program?
Yeah, I just wanted to be able to learn more about my strengths and find out like how I could use them like in life to get closer to God and like lead a better Christian life.
Were you surprised by any of the strengths that you received?
I was a little surprised by some, but I thought that for the most part, the strengths that I got from the test describes me pretty well.
Okay, did you enjoy taking the test?
I did. It was actually kind of fun to like answer the questions with like my own thoughts and see what came out of it.
So Reagan, what brought you to Strengths Plus?
I decided to come here today to learn more about myself and what I'm good at and what makes me myself.
So what strengths did you get, and like, did it kind of relate to you?
Yeah, the test that I took specifically gave me 5 traits that really describe me and I felt were really accurate based on my personality.
Awesome.
I'm hoping to improve on what I learned today and progress and make them a lot stronger so I can use them to their full potential.
I'm Sister Marie Frechette, and I'm a missionary servant of the Most Blessed Trinity.
You've got a big anniversary coming up.
Yes, I do. This is my 50th year in the community.
Give me a nugget of what the last 50 years have been like for you as a nun.
Well, actually, because I love counseling, that's the thing I've done most. Every time I meet with someone, I see another face of God. And that's probably brought me the most hope and joy. And when people come to me, the kind of counseling that I do here at St. Matthew's is to help people figure out the problem that's keeping them from living a better life. So it's more based on the here and now and looking within their family context. And I just love problem solving. I love puzzles, I love crossword puzzles, jigsaw puzzles, all that kind of thing. And I do like fixing things and problem solving that way. So it's right up my alley. And this is the best job I've ever had for the last 4 years.
Do you ever look back and think to yourself, what if I had gone in another direction? What my life would have been like?
Yeah, I do.
What's that like?
There were times, like one time I rode back from Chicago where I was going to graduate school to Pittsburgh, and this little boy fell asleep on my lap on the bus. It was a night bus. And I was like, wow, do I want to be a mom? Do I want to be a mother? And it really sank into me when I found him asleep. And, you know, so I did think at that point, there's been various places where I've thought, what should I do? What will I do? And each time when I went back to God to say, hey, let's talk about this, it seemed like this was my course. This is the course of life. Well, I have a brother out in New Mexico with his wife, and he has 3 kids that are all grown adults. And I have a brother on the Cape who has 1 son, Cape Cod, Massachusetts. And I have a sister and her husband have 3 kids. And I was just with them. And I have a brother that's a priest at St. Mark's in North Attleboro. So it's pretty funny because in our family tree, there's been no religious in our family tree.
So you and your brother were the first?
Yeah, in our families.
So what do you attribute that to? How did that come to be? Tell me about growing up. Tell me about your parents. What was that like?
Well, my parents were very, very Catholic. But also, my dad was very inclusive of everyone. He said, there's no way, he says, you need to respect everyone's religion and what they choose. So he was inclusive. Mom was really good about getting us to CCD, to faith formation. In fact, our sisters were there teaching CCD, and after I entered the community, they said, oh, Marie, your mother in the worst snowstorm would say, is there CCD? And if we could get to the church, we'd say yes, because all 5 were coming. So there was a lot of pushing us forth into our faith, but also in acts of service, you know.
Do you think that pushing pushed you and your brother to religious life?
I don't know. His story is different than mine. He was in his mid-20s when he went to Brighton, to the Boston Diocese, but he's for Fall River Diocese. He studied in Boston. So his journey was different, plus he's younger. I'm the oldest. So I was out at 18, he was 9, you know, when I left, and my sister was 8. So the other brothers were like 13 and 14. So I left a growing family, but I felt good. My dad didn't want me to enter. He says, let's see if you can go to college. Let's see if you can buy a car. You know, maybe when you're 21. And I came back to him and said, Dad, if I promise to come out, if I don't like it, if it's not for me, can I go at 18? And he finally said yes. And I said, at my 25th Jubilee, I said, hey, Dad, I think I still like it. You know, so I'm glad he let me enter when I did.
Where is God in our lives every day?
I believe He's with us. He's as close as our heart is. And it's a recognition of we have Him with us. So when I see these tragedies, it seems to me that evil becomes rampant. And sometimes we participate inadvertently. And one way I've thought of is to have peace, which I pray for, is to have a peaceful heart and try, with my accent, it's a peaceful heart, I should point to it, and we should try to live our lives being peaceful because that contributes to the whole, and the more people who are peaceful in their heart, it contributes to a nation, to a community, to a, you know, any group, but it's got to start with me, you know, to have that sense of. So where is God? God's as close as we can think. Never, never, ever without us. Like I said, sometimes you don't see him. You know, he's in back, you know, and sometimes he comes to the front.
How blessed are we to have her as part of our St. Matthew family? Well, that's our episode of MATTtV for this week. Is there something you'd like us to report on or something else you'd like to learn about life here at St. Matthew? If so, please email us at mattTV@stmatthewcatholic.org. For the MATTtV teens, I'm Valerie. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.